Yeah, actually 5 of them are not here.
All right. Okay.
The Jeremy, could you please record
Yes,
the...
please record the.
could you please record? Something wrong with my display here. I cannot record. Could you please record the meeting?
Hold on. Dr. Anisa, can you do recording?
Wait. Hold on.
Yeah. Because I have my laptop, like I sent my laptop for repair, so.
I cannot.
I think only the host can do that, and the problem is I don't know why I cannot do that using my things here.
I cannot record.
Yeah, I
Cannot
think
record.
only the host can record.
So,
Okay, it's time for you guys to take notes, Get back
yeah,
to
I think to the normal way. Yeah.
So,
All right, please, Dr. Niza. So, no recording for today, yeah? So, please take note. Kalau tak, dia tidur je, okay?
All right. Okay. Alamak. Jom. All right. So, good morning, everyone. Where is my... Okay. So, can everyone see the screen? Yes?
Yes, doctor.
Okay. All right. All right, so I'll just go briefly through what needs to be included into your report writing. Basically, nothing heavy. It's just more on formatting and some do's and don'ts. Okay. All right. Wait, maybe I shall show you the format itself. Hold on. Okay, so this is the format which will be given to you. Okay, so you just have to use it directly. Okay, so this will be the front page of your report. Okay, where you have the logo of and then you have to put in your company logo where you're doing your intern. Okay, so for the title of the project, okay, the cover page of your report, okay, is either you can put the title of the project, okay, because some of you would be given projects to be done. Okay, so you can put the title of your main project, okay, or you can put in general, maybe internship or industrial training at company X. Okay, either one is fine. Okay, so you can pick one, okay, whichever you think would suit your report more. Okay, so the normal, your name, your metric number, and so on. Okay, and then year of submission. And then the next page, okay, we have the original literary work declaration in which your supervisor has to sign. Okay, so this one for both your draft as well as your final report. Okay, when you hand in your final report, sorry, not draft, meaning when you hand in your report for evaluation, as well as the final corrected report. Okay, both has to be signed by your supervisor. Okay, whoever you are assigned to, make sure they read through your draft, they help you correct, and then they will this page before you can hand in for evaluation. Okay, as well as your final corrected report. Okay, so this witness, don't give me your mother's signature, don't give me your parent's signature, don't give me your supervisor at the company signature. Okay, it has to be your supervisor. All right. So this is just to show that they have gone through your report, they know what's going on, they have seen your report. Okay. Then acknowledgement, you can write to whoever you want to acknowledge, as long as it does not exceed 1 page. All right. Okay, so after the acknowledgement, we have your executive summary. So this is similar to abstract. So basically, it summarizes your report. It summarizes your internship. Okay, so so we already have given you like what should go into your summary. Okay, executive summary. It should be only in 1 paragraph and between 200 to 400 words, around there. Okay, plus minus. All right, it has to be written in the past tense. Okay, so what should be included? Okay, things like where you are doing your internship, where you did your internship, sorry, where you did your internship, and perhaps what department, because under the company, okay, there can be different departments. Okay, so you can specify exactly which department you will put under, and maybe the main responsibilities which were given to you during your internship. Okay, so just a brief overview. You don't have to explain in detail because the details will be into your report itself. So this is just a summary of what you did, what your main responsibilities were, and maybe what you gained, as well as your main findings. Okay, any achievements, and basically the major learning experience you gained through your training period. Okay, so executive summary is just a summary. So basically, only put in the main points. Okay, you don't have to tell grandfather story. Your grandfather story would be inside the report, the main body itself. Okay, so this is just between 200 and 400 words. So keep it brief. All right, but make sure all the main points are in your executive summary. Okay, so basically this is like the first thing we read, and based on this summary we can tell what you did, what your main responsibilities were, where you did your internship, what you gained from the experience itself. Okay, so if anyone has any questions, just let me know. Okay, okay, so that's the executive summary, and then we have table of contents. So this is you should know how to do this. Okay, all right, so okay, so table of contents. Okay, so you can see here your everything from the cover page all the way to chapter 1. Okay, it should be in Roman letters. Your first page number 1, okay, number 1 itself, okay, the one number, okay, it starts at your introduction, which is chapter 1. Sorry, not in, your overview of organization. Okay, chapter 1, the first page of the chapter 1 is page 1. So before page 1, okay, it should be in Roman letters. Okay, so you can see here, it should be in Roman letters. All right. So just follow accordingly: table of contents, list of figures, list of tables, list of abbreviations. Then you have your chapter 1, which is your overview of your organization. Okay, chapter 2, which is your project report. This is basically like your lab report. Okay, and then chapter 3 is your internship experience. Okay, so you only have 3 chapters. Okay, and then basically that's it. Okay, so project report, you can put 1 or 2 reports. Okay, but even if you reports, they're still under chapter 2 itself. Okay, so you should only have 3 chapters in your report. Okay, and then after that, references and appendix. Okay, so this you should know how to do. Tables. Okay, so list of symbols and abbreviations. Okay, this should be in alphabetical order. Okay, so all your symbols, all your abbreviations which you use in the report itself, everything has to go into this list. Okay, and just make sure it is in alphabetical order. Okay, so for example, okay, you have your ANOVA. Okay, so it starts with A, and then your hydrochloric acid starts with H, and then your kilogram, which starts with K. Okay, so this one, because it has a number in front, so you have your 1, and then you have your 13. So that's why it comes first before your ANOVA, HCl, and Kg. Okay, so just list every single abbreviation used, every single symbol used in your report should be put inside this list of abbreviations. Okay, so and in your report itself, the first time you mention either a symbol or an abbreviation, you should have the full name included on the first part of your report. Okay, and then from after that, you can remain it in the abbreviation or the symbol. Okay. Oops. Okay. So chapter 1, overview of organization. So basically this is everything and anything about your company, the company you are doing your industrial training. Okay, this can be taken from your supervisor. This can be taken from the website. Okay, so just ask your supervisor. If you cannot find, just ask your supervisor. Okay, your supervisor at the company to help you with this. Okay, so we just need background, so we know what the organization is doing. What are they involved in, environmental analysis, or are they involved in routine work? Okay, so basically just list down all of that. Okay, any information about the company can be put in here. Okay, so one thing which I've seen in people's reports, okay, is that the usage of the Z and S, so American English and British English. Okay, so for here we have put Z. If you want to use S, that is fine. Just make sure the whole report uses, so if you want to use British English, make sure the whole report is British English. And if you're using American English, okay, make sure the whole report is in American English. Okay, things like organization, analyze, okay, your S and your Z. So just make sure whatever you use is the same throughout the whole report. Okay, so here we've used Z. If you want to use S, that is fine. Okay, just make sure you use that throughout the whole report. So that's chapter 1. So chapter 1 is pretty much very simple. It's just about your company. Okay, no need grandfather stories. Okay, just whatever main things that we need from here. Okay, who are the types, what are the types of clients, the organization structure. So the organization structure, you can either put the company as a whole, or even your department is fine. Either one, or you can put in both. Okay. Okay, so that is the first one, which is your organization. Okay, pretty simple, straightforward. Okay, so the second one is your project report. So this is what project you are given. Okay, it can be a mini project, it can be routine work. Okay, so it's still considered a project. Okay, it doesn't matter. So even if you're doing routine work, for example, saying you are doing titration. Okay, so when you did your even in analytical chemistry, okay, SID 203, okay, you had titration. You still can produce a report out of titration. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether you're given routine work or very simple work, okay, you can still produce a lab report. Okay, so in this case, this is the project report. Okay, so you have your objective, introduction, your literature review, methodology, results, discussion, and conclusion. Okay, so detail every single thing of that project. Okay, so even if you do UV vis, okay, or you check pH, all this can be written into a report. Okay, so don't tell me just because you're doing routine work, you cannot write a project report. Okay, so anything, any lab work which you do, any experiment which you do, okay, from preparing your samples, and then maybe all you do is just run the sample, but then you never interpret the results with your team or with your supervisor. Okay, then you still can, because you have the results, right? So it's up to you how you're going to interpret it. Okay, so if you, let's say at the company itself, okay, when you're doing the project itself, the routine analysis, maybe you do not have to analyze the results. Okay, but in this report, okay, try and learn how to, even if you do not analyze the results during internship, okay, you can ask your supervisor or whoever is in your team. Okay, you can ask them for help on how to analyze these results if you've never done that sort of project before. Okay, or if let's say you have done those sort of experiments before, then you know how to analyze. Okay, so you can put that into your discussion. Okay, so there is no such thing as a simple work cannot be written, you don't know how to analyze, or you cannot write a report on that. Okay, so it's up to you to pick one or two. Okay, because some of you carry out maybe 5 to 6 different projects, not to say projects, but maybe different work, like your supervisor gives you different work every week. Okay, so up to you, you want to choose just one main project, or you want to do 2. Okay, so even if you do 5 to 10 work, okay, you do not have to put all inside. Okay, just select any two or any one. Okay, to put it as your project report. Okay, and then you should address also any limitations in your project. Okay, because you're doing internship, so there are a lot of limitations. Okay, so you're only focusing maybe on a certain part. All those should be put inside your project so that we can understand what you have done. Okay, and from those limitations, we can see, okay, what should you discuss, what you shouldn't discuss. All right. So that is project report.
Dr. Haniza, I have a question.
Yes.
A very quick one. How should I write if I go to internship? How should I write the methodology part? I believe many students have problem writing. Write the methodology wrongly. Could you please explain a bit on that?
So I will go through one by one in a while. Okay, so I'll just go through the formatting first, and then later I'll go through one by one. All right. Okay, and then you have chapter 3, which is internship experience. Okay, I'll go through that in a while as well. And then you have your references. And then appendix. So appendix is basically your weekly report and basically any raw data which you do not put into the project report, you can put that into your appendix. Okay, so appendix, the way you name appendix is appendix A, appendix B, appendix C. So A, B, C, and so on and so forth. Or you can put A1, A2, A3 if they are related, for example. Okay, so that is for the formatting. Hold on. All right, so let's go. Yes. Yes, Leon.
Doctor, I wonder for the second part, right? If my internship is a project-based internship, can I just put my manuscript into the second part?
No, you have to write a proper report.
No, my manuscript is a proper report. It's like a journal. Can I just put the whole thing into the second part?
Yeah, so it. Okay, so Dr. Munir wants to say something. Yes. Dr. Munir wants to say something? No? Yes?
Yeah, sorry, okay. I forgot to turn on my microphone. Okay, so Leon, actually the way to write the journal manuscript and different. So if you usually if you write the report, it's more detailed. Okay, I could say. Okay, but it depends. It depends. So I think you should how to say discuss with your supervisor, because for me sometimes yes, we can put that the manuscript as a chapter in the report, but sometimes you need more elaboration on that. Yeah, for me, because I've did before. I publish a manuscript. Okay, but when I write the thesis itself, okay, I elaborate more. Okay, so yeah, it depends on your supervisor. We see that how your supervisor prefer on that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor.
Because when you write manuscript, like there's a lot of things maybe you don't even put into your manuscript. Like there's only on a certain part, maybe your report, your project maybe A to Z, but in your report, in your manuscript, maybe you skip certain parts here and there, and you put only like the main findings, and then maybe the small parts you leave it out from the manuscript. Okay, you put everything to your manuscript, so it is better to not to say rewrite, but to put a proper report into your internship report. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Hold on. Okay. Okay, so let's just go through a bit more on the formatting before we go into one by one. Oh, sorry. Okay. So Times New Roman, font size 12, double spacing. Okay. Pages should be numbered, so every page should be numbered. And then your report shouldn't be more than 100 pages, including your reference and appendix. Okay, so you don't have to put in every single thing. Like I know some of you maybe will do chromatography, and then maybe every day you have like a chromatogram. You do not have to put every single chromatogram from your results every single day into your report. Okay, just pick the main ones, okay, to be put into your report. Okay, submission. I'm not sure. Like I think it's depending whether it's online or face to face. Okay, your Viva. Submission, if it's face to face, then your submission would be you have to print it and compound it. Okay, but if your Viva is online, okay, then you just have to email it in PDF. Okay, so that is your submission KIV. Dr. Munir will update you when the time comes. Okay. All right. So these are what you. So I will give you this PowerPoint. Okay. So make sure you just follow like the margins, the font style. Okay, spacing, double spacing, and make sure all contents are justified. Okay. Because it looks neater when you justify your when you align it under justified. Okay. Okay, so tables and figures should have captions. Your tables, the caption is on the top. For figures, your caption is at the bottom. Okay. So some people would like to bold the whole, so table 4 point whatever, and then you have your caption itself. If you want to bold the whole thing, it's fine. If you want to bold just figure number and then the rest is not bold, that is fine as well. Okay, as long as you have a figure caption, and the caption should explain what the figure and table is. Okay, and when it comes to figures, if it's not your own figure, meaning if you did not draw it yourself, if it's not yours, okay, if you've taken it from another source, you should reference it. Okay, it should have a reference. All right, because it's not your own image. Okay, but if let's say, for example, like this SEM is either you or your teammates have analyzed it and you got that image, okay, from your experiment itself, then it does not need to be referenced. Okay, but things like if let's say you put a picture of your chromatograph, okay, I mean the instrument itself, chromatography instrument, and you got this picture from somewhere else, okay, make sure it is referenced. Okay, so the way to put the caption is in the middle, centered if it's only one line. But when it comes to more than one line, if let's say it's 2 lines, then you have to make it left justified. Okay, pretty simple. Okay, so make sure if there are units which needs to be put in, okay, make sure you put in your units into your tables and your figures as well. Okay, especially your graphs. Okay, some people just put the graph, but then there is no x-axis, y-axis. We don't know what is x-axis, what is y-axis. Okay, so make sure every single thing is there. And if the units need to be put in, please put in the units. Okay. All right. Okay, so table of contents should be fine. Okay, for figures and tables, okay, numbering follows the chapter. So if it's chapter 1, you go figure 1.1, figure 1.2, 1.3. Okay, so if let's say your chapter is, your subchapter is 2.2.2, for example, okay, your chapter is 2.2.2, okay, you do not need to give me figure 2.2.2a or something like that. Okay, I've seen this so many times. I don't know why you do that. Okay, so if let's say, okay, so let's say your subchapter is 2.2.2. Okay, you start from 2.0, right? And then you have 2.1 and everything. So your figure can just go figure 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. So it doesn't matter what subchapter it is. You can still go through 2.3, 2.4, 2.5, 2.6. So you do not need to follow the subchapter. Just follow the main chapter. Okay, because I've seen under chapter 2.2.2, then your figure is figure 2.2.2.1, okay, which is not necessary. Okay, so just follow what chapter it is and then just go consecutively from there. Okay, same with table. All right. All right. So that is formatting. Okay, and the last of formatting would be your references. Okay, so referencing, we will follow the APA format. Okay, follows the APA format. Oh, sorry. Okay, so this can be taken from the UML website as well, library website. And also in this PowerPoint is given, we've given you how to, the general rules on how to cite, okay, both in text as well as at your reference list. Okay, so how it should be done. Okay, so this is an example. All right, so you have your references. You don't need any numbers. All right, so you just go according to alphabet. So we can see A B A G A G A G. Okay, then A L. All right. So so you just follow alphabetically. So you put in last name, and then after that your first name is all in initials. Okay, and then just, if there are 5 people, then you write 5 people. If there are 4 people, just write 4 people. All. So basically, you write every single author which was involved. Okay, so every single author which was involved, and then after that the year, and then the title of the article. Okay, and then this is the journal title. So journal title, book title, the title of the website. Okay, all these would be in italic. All right, so make sure this is italic. And then you have your volume number and then your page number. Okay, so you do not need any DOI number for your references. Okay, so if it's a website, so this is an example of website. So you need to put in when you retrieved it and what the website link is. Okay, so when you do a website, okay, make sure what you reference is the how to say, not the author, basically like the like for example, okay, the portal for this one is owned by the Agency of Toxic Substances. Okay, so that would be your so-called author. Okay, for that, okay, so so you put in the owner of that website, okay, the title of that page itself where you got the information from. All right, and then when you retrieved it and what the link is. Okay, so it's pretty much straightforward like this. So they're all the same here. So the only thing which you make it italic is your journal title or book title. Okay. All right. So all right. So these are all here. Okay. And then in text. Okay. So a lot of people only put references in the reference list, but then you forget about what goes in text. Okay, so in text you also have to reference. So anything and everything which is taken from somewhere, okay, you should reference it. Okay, so basically, especially when you do your introduction and literature review, okay, most of it has to be sourced from somewhere. Okay, so obviously you didn't just pick it up from thin air. Okay, so all those has to be references. It has to be referenced. Okay, so when you reference it in text, okay, all you need is the last name. You do not need the initials at all. Okay, so for example, okay, you just put the last name and year. So if there are 2 authors, just put the last name of each author and then the year. All right, so if it's more than 2 authors, you just need to put at all. Okay, simple as that. So you put 1, you put 2, and if it's more than 2, you just put at all. Okay, so for example here, you have 1, okay, and then you have 2, and then if it's more than 2, you use at all. Okay, so you only need the last name and the year. Okay. Okay, so this is for reference list. So basically it's the same. So the journal title should be italic. Okay, so just follow this one over here. All right. Okay, so if it's books, all right. All right. If it's books, the only thing you add should be your the place of publication. So for example, this one has New York. Okay, so you need to put in the place of publication of that book itself, okay, which can be found in the book itself. Okay, you need to add the place. All right, and if let's say it has it's a first edition, second edition, third edition, that should be included as well. And then also if the book is edited, okay, it has authors and then it has an editor, then you need to put in the editor as well. Okay. And if you take from a chapter in a book, then what you have to put in is this in part over here. So this is the chapter, and then you put that in. All right. This is the main title of the book itself. Okay. So this is the chapter. So this is the chapter. What chapter you took from, and this is the main title. Okay, so you have to have that in. Then this is basically the author of the chapter. Okay, so you start with the chapter itself, which you took from in. So this is the editors of the book itself, then the main title of the book, and then you have your publication place. Okay, and then your page of the chapter as well. All right, so for electronic sources, okay, which is anything online, so basically you can ignore the DOI, so you do not need to put the DOI. All right, but make sure you just put that retrieve from where. Okay. All right, so that is referencing. Okay, so now let's go to your project report. Okay. All right, so the first thing for your project report is the title. Okay, so your title should be specific and focused. All right, so if let's say you are doing UV analysis of I don't know, water samples. Okay, for example, so maybe GC analysis of water samples. So your title should have every single thing which is important of your experiment itself. Okay, it reflects the purpose of your experiment. Okay, so don't just tell me the title is GC analysis of water samples. Okay, you need to be a bit more specific. So if let's say your maybe you name the specific sample, or maybe you name what is your compound you are searching for. Okay, so don't just give me in general, but make sure it's specific and focused, because that is what reflects the purpose of your experiment. Okay, so all right, so that's your title. Okay, your objective would then be the aim and the questions of your experiment. Okay, so for example, all right, these are actual objectives which students have given. Okay, to be familiar with the GCMS components, to change new soap formulation with cheaper cost, to gain experience in environmental analysis. So do you think these are proper objectives or not? Does this address what the experiment is about? Can someone tell me? Yes, no? Or I can start picking names.
No.
No, why?
Too general.
Okay, one is general. Okay, what else? Anything else? Why is this wrong? Why can't you put to gain experience in environmental analysis? Why cannot to change new soap formulation with cheaper cost? Doesn't changing soap formulation with cheaper cost addresses the experiment? Yes, no?
No, doctor.
Why?
It's too.
Okay, what is wrong with this as an objective?
It's not specified. It's to be more towards technically. I don't know what.
Okay, all right. So basically, this is, thank you, Kirtana. All right. So basically, this is not how your objective should be. Okay, maybe this is what you learn from the experiment, but this is not this is not the aim of that experiment, the experiment that you are doing. Okay, so usually when it comes to objectives, your keywords are like to determine, to investigate, what else, to synthesize, to measure. Okay, so it has to be specific to your what do you call this, to your experiment itself. Okay, to determine the concentration of X component in honey sample, for example. Okay, so again, yes, so you are correct. It has to be specific and it has to be aimed at your specific experiment itself. Okay, so it should have also those keywords like to determine, to synthesize, and so on and so forth. Okay, so those are objectives. Okay, all right, and when you do your objectives, or maybe your introduction, okay, one thing you can add is the scope and limitations of the study. Okay, because any study would have a limitation. Okay, so for example, in this example I give here, the bio waste used in this study is limited to those collected from a fruit farm in Perak only. Okay, so this is the limitation of this study itself. It only focused on that one single farm. Okay, so your different experiments will have its own limitations. Okay, do add that to your project report so that we know what to expect from your results itself. Okay, so that we don't ask you, because we know it's a limitation. Okay, so of course your results will not go through, will only be focused on that one certain area. Okay, so at least by having that limitations, we can know what to expect from your project report. Okay, so you can add your limitations either after objectives or maybe in the introduction literature review part itself. Okay, so just add your limitations to that. Okay, then we have the introduction part. This introduction part, okay, a lot of students like don't know what to write. Okay, or sometimes just give very general. Like for example, if you're using GCMS, then your introduction is focused on the instrumentation of GCMS. Okay, which shouldn't be the case. So when it comes to introduction and literature review, it's basically what is the context for the experiment? What is the motivation for the experiment? Why does this experiment need to be done? Okay, for example, if let's say metal analysis. Okay, so metal analysis maybe in food. Okay, if you're doing metal analysis in food, so the motivation for this experiment is to see if, let's say for example, there is a food act, okay, where there is a certain guideline for, let's say, how much lead should be in food. Okay, so that can be part of the motivation for the experiment. Okay, so you can explain why this experiment needs to be done. Okay, what is the significance of this experiment? So basically what you can add is your relevant theory, any equations involved, or maybe any relevant laws which are involved with why you are doing this experiment. Okay, when it comes to introduction and literature review, okay, this is where you can source from your reference. Okay, so this is where you need your in-text referencing, okay, a lot, because this is your introduction and literature review. Okay, so basically like you introduce why you need to do this experiment. Okay, all right, so don't just give me what the instrument is about. Okay, that is not literature review. So literature review is more to why this experiment needs to be done. Okay, what you need to assess, what you are looking for. Okay, so for example, okay, so this is quite long, but so basically, let's say this experiment, okay, was determining PAS, okay, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. Okay, so basically you explain what is this PAS. Okay, so basically it has why, what it is. Okay, it explains what is that. Okay, and then it shows that it is a priority pollutant. What are the dangers of this pollutant, and then also the it has regulated levels. Okay, so in this case, why we're doing this experiment, okay, because there are various analytical methodologies in different food matrices, but in this experiment, okay, only rice grain was involved, okay, because not many has been published. So for example, things like this. So why this experiment needs to be done? Okay, what is your target compound? Okay, you explain what your target compound is and why this experiment needs to be done. Okay, so this all goes into your introduction and literature review. Okay, so basically the significance of your experiment. Okay, so all this has to come from literature. All right, so make sure they are cited as well. Okay, so you can take it from websites, you can take it from journal articles. Okay, do some research. Okay, and then explain why this experiment has to be done. Okay, so that is your introduction. Okay. All right, so next, methodology. So methodology, you describe what you do, what you did. So it has to be in past tense because the experiment is over. You already have done your part. It describes what you did, not what you plan. Okay, so for example, maybe you plan A, B, C, D, D, E, F, G, for example. But then when you run the experiment, okay, maybe you can skip a few different parts because of certain things. Okay, maybe there was troubleshooting, so maybe you had to skip a few parts. So that one you just you do not have to write. So it's not what you planned, okay, but actually what you did. Okay. All right. So if I give you this example, okay, sample preparation. Okay. So number one, 2 grams of treated tea samples, and then N how many samples we're using, were mixed with 10 ml acetonitrile in a 50 ml centrifuge tube. Okay, and then the second one, vortex the solution for 10 seconds and tonicate for 5 minutes. And then the mixture was centrifuge, and then the precipitate was mixed. Okay, so if you look at this methodology itself, okay, and what I explained just now is describe what you did and in past tense. So where does this methodology go wrong? Can anyone, if you look at this methodology, what is wrong with this methodology? There are a few things, a few errors in this methodology which shouldn't be done. Can anyone maybe outline maybe 1 or 2 errors in this methodology?
The second step is not in past tense.
Yes. Okay, so the second step is not in past tense. So every single step should be in past tense. Okay, so vortex the solution and tonicate for 5 minutes, it's not in past tense. Okay, so you need to make sure that every single step is in past tense. Okay, and then if I don't know if you realize, but okay, so the first part use meal this way, and then in step number 4 your meal is in this way. So make sure your units are written the same way in every single step. Okay, so in this case your liter is in small l, whereas in your first step you use liter in capital letters. Okay, so no matter, you can use either one. Okay, I would prefer this ml, but I don't know, some people would like to use m and this small l. So you can discuss that with your supervisor. Okay, but either way, make sure it is consistent throughout your whole methodology. All right, another thing is, okay, when it comes to methodology, all right, these numbers shouldn't be there. All right, it should be in paragraph form actually. Methodology should be in paragraph form. Okay. All right, so this is not the correct way to write methodology. Okay. For example, okay, let's say you're preparing a standard solution. Okay, so you explain what the concentration of your standard salt solution is, and then was prepared by mixing what. Okay, so you tell what your solvent is and then what apparatus you use. Okay, so basically as simple as this is how you should write your methodology. Okay, so if let's say you use FTIR or GCMS or HPLC, then you can write the parameters which you used in your study itself. Okay, for example, like this one, you use the ATR, FTIR, only use a small quantity of the sample. Okay, so maybe if let's say you use HPLC, you can write 1.5 mil aliquot of sample was injected into the HPLC, for example. Okay, so and then like for example FTIR, because we can record it with many scans, so you have to tell how many scans and what resolution and at what wave numbers. Okay, so for maybe GC, you can write what sort of injection you use, what was the temperature, the use temperature ramping. Okay, so basically the parameters should be put into your methodology. Is this here? Do I need to explain anything else about methodology? Since someone asked just now about methodology, is this clear or still unclear of what methodology should include? No?
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Okay. So, like for example, okay, the top part here, the sample preparation. The way to write sample preparation can be this way. Okay, as long as you put it in past tense and you put it into a paragraph. Okay, this it can be written this way as well. Okay, it's just that you have to change it to make sure it's past tense as well as it is in paragraph form. Okay, so this would be the way to write your methodology. So basically everything which you have done in your experiment. Okay, so for example, if you took 15 samples, make sure you write 15 samples. If let's say your water samples, for example, environmental analysis, maybe you took soil samples from location A, B, C, D. So then you have to name what is location A, B, C, D, and E. Okay, you can even put a map in your methodology of the location sites of where the samples was taken, for example. Okay, so in certain cases, okay, some companies, let's say you are doing a sample, maybe a branded sample, okay, but under the company, it is named as sample A1 or A2 or A3. So you just follow that whatever the company uses. So if it's sample A1, then you use sample A1, A2, A3. You do not have to name the exact sample what it is. Okay, so because in certain companies, this is confidential information. Okay, so please find out from your supervisor what are the information which is confidential. Okay, so that you do not put in any information which is confidential to the company into your report. Okay, but things like preparation of standard solution, of instrument parameters, I think it shouldn't be a problem. Okay, it's just more usually the sample names, and if let's say maybe the company has its own formulation, okay, then maybe you can just name the formulation itself, but you do not have to describe what the exact formulation is. Okay, so just consult with your organization supervisor, okay, and they can help you tell you what is not appropriate to put in and what can be put in. Okay. All right. So, so this is also methodology itself. Okay. So, like for example, okay, if you have any spike samples, you spike with what, and then what were the samples which are spiked, and then in what range. Okay. So especially when you have calibration curves, you have to specify what is the range that you did your calibration curve. Okay, so how many samples or how many repetitions, and then if you have equations, make sure you label your equation. Okay, all equations has to be labeled. Okay, you can follow. So this is in chapter 3. This is the first equation, so it's equation 3.1. Okay, things like that. Okay, so all these should be put into your this is how your methodology should look like. Okay, so every single information of how you maybe analyze or you prepare your samples or your standards, okay, should be put into your methodology. Okay, and then we have your results and discussion. This is where you interpret your results and suggest explanation. Okay, so your results, the results part is your tables, your graphs, your images of the actual raw data, of the data which you get. Okay, when it comes to discussion, you have to interpret those results. So you shouldn't just say table 2.1 indicates that that all metals were below the regulation level. Okay, and then full stop. And then you do not suggest any explanation. You do not elaborate anything on that. Okay, so when it comes to discussion, you need to elaborate more. You need to suggest explanation. You need to suggest why is this finding so. Okay, and you can also relate it to other work as well. Okay, so when you go to, if you open journal articles, there should be quite a number of other works which has done similar work to yours. Okay, so you can take those results and you can compare with your own results. Okay, for example, maybe in baby formulation, okay, the basically maybe the lead metal is high. Okay, then you can suggest why. You can suggest why based on previous studies as well. Okay, so again, similar with your introduction and literature review, your discussion should also have in-text referencing. Okay, because you need to reference, you need to elaborate based on past work. Okay, so you do not elaborate just based on why, like your own what you think it is. Okay, you need to back it up with claim. All right, so this is where you have to search from other sources. Why is this so? Okay, you need to back up what you explain. Okay, so all right, so for example, okay, so one thing to do is first you look at your, maybe if there are any trends in your results, or maybe, for example, location A and B is near a factory, that's why it has high contamination, where else location C is further away, like there are no industrial areas around it, that's why the results are different. Okay, things like this. Okay, but then you still, okay, so once you have elaborated, you need to also back that up with a proper reference. Okay, so for example, okay, this one, Raman spectroscopy analysis. So basically, you write, okay, in Raman analysis, if you're doing, if you're finding out, you have to find out about the crystal structure, you have to have that G and D band. Okay, if it's perfectly ordered, you only have one peak. If it's disordered, you have G and D band. So based on the results that you receive, so in this case here, it says the Raman spectrum is shown in figure 2.10, and the results show that there is both G and D bands. So based on the presence of these, it should be bands, not banks. Okay, so based on the results of the presence of this G and D band, so we can conclude that there is a combination of both ordered and disordered. Okay, so basically, because it has backed up with this claim, is one, and then also another claim, and it backs up with another research by another person. Okay, so you need to back up all your explanation from other research. Okay, you cannot just tell me I have G and D bands, so it means that I have both ordered graphitic and disordered carbons, but then you do not have any claims to back it up. Okay, so to properly write your results and discussion, you need to back up with other sources as well. Okay, so for example, pyrolysis temperature, it was examined in the range of 600 to 800. So why did we do this? Because it has been previously reported that structural destruction is between 650 and 850. So that's why the experiment was run between 600 and 800. See? So basically, after a certain explanation, after your interpretation of why you did this, okay, you have a statement, okay, from somewhere else, which said that it should be done this way. Okay, so you have to make sure that every single thing which you explain, which you interpret, okay, it needs to have a backup. This is how you write your results in discussion. Okay, so a lot of students just tell me, okay, I found this, because of this, that's all. And okay, so you do not have any backup sources. Okay, so that's not the proper way. So the proper way, you need to actually back up every single thing, every single explanation, anything which you suggest, anything which you elaborate, okay, it needs to have reference. It needs to have a backup. Okay, where do you get this information from? How do you know that that this happened? Okay, you cannot, obviously you have to have read it from somewhere, okay, or maybe your supervisor told you, okay, but even if let's say your supervisor told you this result is like this because it is this, okay, so you have to, then it is your initiative to find out why is it like this. Okay, so that's where you go through journal articles and find out, okay, it is this way because of this, and this. Okay, so please do your research on why the results are so. Okay, so that is how you analyze your results. Okay, so throughout your report itself here, do not use we or I, even in methodology. Okay, you do not use I or we or anything. So there is no I or we, so it's basically just statements. Okay, even in your methodology, okay, you do not use we prepared a solution, a standard solution of blah 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 blah. Okay, so no I, no we, no nothing in your whole project report. Okay. All right, so that is the project report part. So any questions on the project report? It's basically very, very similar to how you write your lab reports. Okay, you've done 3 years of writing a lot of reports. Okay, supposedly you should already be an expert, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Okay, I still see a lot of the chapter 2 of this lab report still being very, very not properly written. Okay, so any questions on this chapter 2? Yes, no? All okay?
Okay, Doctor.
Okay, okay. I know it's a Saturday, but we have one more part, okay? So we have chapter 3. Okay, the last part is your internship experience. Okay, so this is your reflection, okay, of what you learned during your internship and basically what skills you gain. So in this internship experience, chapter 3, so we have applications of theory and soft skills, the skills gain, and summary and suggestions. Okay, so we have outline. Okay, so for the first part, the 3.1, basically applications of technical knowledge and soft skills of the task. Okay, so what you can do is you describe all the responsibilities which you were given, okay, during internship. For example, let's say you learn how to do auditing, for example, okay, and you've never done this auditing before, so you can write what were the challenges on how to do auditing, okay, what were the difficulties, and then you put in what your contribution was for that auditing process. Okay, or okay, if let's say you're given a task to do to run GC, and you've already done it in you've learned about the theory during your analytical chemistry, okay, and then also you've already done experiments in the lab, okay, during your 3 years, okay, you've done about GC. So if let's say in this internship you're also running GC, okay, so you can relate that back to your theory and skills which you have learned in university. Okay, so depending on what you have, what your project is, okay, if it's something which you have learned before, okay, so you can relate that back to what you have learned. If it's something new, then you can put in what the challenges were, what the difficulties were in doing that new skill, okay, or that new basically new skill which you learn, or maybe any added theory which you did not learn in university, but when you go to the internship you learn extra theory given by your supervisor or your teammates. Okay, so all this can be put into your applications of theory and soft skills. Okay, then 3.2 will be skills gains, initiative taken, and guidance organization. So basically in this case you can provide specific examples of what you learned throughout your training. Okay, what guidance was given from the organization, and then you compare your theoretical understanding and the real application in the industry. Okay, so maybe in nuclear chemistry you learn about something, okay, and then when you go to your industrial training? Okay, is that similar to what you learned in class? Okay, was there any differences you learned from in your during what you learned in university to what when you apply in the industry? Are there any differences? Are there any new, basically, is it the same way, okay, how you were taught in class? Is it the same way when you apply in the industry? Okay, or do you go by case basis? Okay, so when it comes to the industry, a lot of things are adapted here and there, okay, to overcome different problems. All right, so whatever you learn during your internship, okay, put that all in into here, your internship experience. So this internship experience, because it's a reflection, you can use I. Okay, I learned how to operate the NMR instrument by myself, for example. Okay, so all this whole chapter 3, you can use I. This is the only chapter you can use the word I. I did this, I learned this. Okay, and then chapter 3.3, okay, is summary and suggestions. Okay, so you can describe what you have gained from the experience. Okay, you can put both positive and negative, but however, if you put negative experiences, make sure you just stick to the facts. Okay, so do not badmouth your organization or the people in your team. Okay, maybe you think your supervisor was being very lazy, who didn't even take care of you, for example. Okay, you do not need to put that into your summary and suggestion. Okay, I mean, you do not need to put I do not like my supervisor because my supervisor was lazy, for example. Okay, so the way to write it, maybe put it in a better way. Okay, maybe my supervisor was busy, and maybe my supervisor was not around much for to help me with my work, for example. Okay, so put it in a different way. The way you write shouldn't be basically, yeah, so just avoid bad mouthing anyone or the organization. Okay, so if you really do have a bad experience, write it the way you write it should be in a better, use a good language, okay, and just describe it in a good way. Okay, all right, I mean, not to say that you want to bluff, but the way you write it, okay, you can alter the way how you write it. Okay, instead of showing that it is a very, very bad negative experience, okay, write it in a proper way to show that you had a bad experience, but basically like toning it down and not bad mouthing anyone. Okay, because in certain cases your lab report actually the company actually reads your keeps your internship report. Okay, so just make sure that you stick to facts and concrete examples, okay, and you do not badmouth anyone. Okay, so for any negative experience you can include, just make sure you write it in a proper way. Okay, all right, and then you can suggest certain suggestions for the organization to improve. Maybe, for example, if let's say you were only involved like for your maybe for the whole 10 weeks, you only put right in front of this instrument. Maybe you can suggest that the organization rotates every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks, you know, between the different interns, for example. Okay, so an example of reflection. Okay, for example, within the internship, I did a lot of field work. So because of this, I have seen what expects you have to think while organizing a project. Okay, so use I. Basically, it's your own experience and your own thoughts of what you have gained or what you have learned from the internship itself. For example, during the first week of work, I was overwhelmed by the work and the responsibilities that were placed on me, but with the help of my supervisors, I felt more confident. Okay, so things like this can be included into your reflection. Okay, I was pushed to experiment with innovative research methods and data analysis, or I was given the responsibility to sample and measure what and process the samples in the lab. Okay, so all this, you can see all of these sentences as I, because it is a reflection of what you think and basically your own experience. Okay, so okay, although this is your own experience, okay, try not to bullshit a lot in your, okay, like I know some of you will just copy and paste from somewhere else. But basically, when we read your report, we can actually tell if it's like true or not, or you just copy paste from somewhere else. Okay, so just this reflection part, just just tell what you gain from the experience. So basically, by the supervisors, okay, the supervisors evaluating your report, by reading this reflection, we can also it also helps us understand, okay, how your internship was, okay, because your supervisors will only basically, if it's online, okay, we only will have that one or two interview with your organization supervisor and you. So we do not really know what is going on in your other week. Maybe you do not want to tell, or maybe you're scared of your organization supervisor or anything. So based on this reflection, we can actually see, okay, how much have you gained from this experience? Is this a good company for you to actually be in? Okay, like, is this a good company for students to internship in? So based on this reflection, we can actually tell basically how good the place of your internship is. Okay, so just write whatever you think is you gain from the experience. So basically, it also helps us to evaluate if the organization is good for internship for other students in the future as well. Okay. All right, and then my rubrics will also give you. Okay, so in this case, okay, for your LI report, okay, your reflection part is 40%. Okay, so we have your industrial experience. So this is basically your chapter 3. Okay, it's 40 marks. Okay, so your project report is 30 marks. Okay, so introduction and literature. All right, to get a full mark, you need complete with necessary background information. Okay, your experimental and your results, you need a complete detailed experimental procedure, and your results are organized. Okay, don't put like basically so usually when you do your tables and figures, okay, you can put your tables or figures before or after the paragraph, but don't. So basically, if let's say I'm explaining about UV based analysis, but then the next picture after that is a chromatogram or a calibration. It's basically something not related to UV. So make sure whatever you explain, then the image or the table is before or after, basically directly after, not like you write about the SEM image shows that the nanoparticles are ordered in an ordered formation, but then your results are like somewhere at the bottom. Okay, so make sure it is organized properly. Okay, and if you can, try and make sure it flows, like from the, like let's say preparation of standard solution, and then calibration, and then your results, like the results of your sample. Okay, not sample first and after that only you do calibration, right? So make sure it flows. Okay, so this one you can get help from your supervisor. Okay, I'm sure they're more than willing to help you. Just ask them. Okay, ask them nicely. Should this be in this flow, or is this flow a better flow? Okay, or maybe they can suggest a better flow. So your supervisors would be more than helpful. Just ask them. Okay, whether it's your organization supervisor or your UM supervisor, I'm sure either way. Okay, you will get someone along the way which is helpful. Okay, or maybe your teammates may even help you as well. All right, and discussion. Okay, so your discussion, again, to get full marks, you need in-depth discussion and interpretation of data supported by evidence. Okay, so this is where your backup for each and every single claim comes from. Okay, so that is for your project report. So that's 30%, and then 40% from your industrial experience. So basically, we want to know what how your work experience was, your responsibilities, what were the challenges and contributions. So you basically write every single thing you experienced. So you do not like some students just explain, I was given a task to do auditing. I was given a task to prepare standard solutions every day, and then that's all. So you do not discuss what you learn from preparation of standard solutions, for example, or what you learn from auditing a certain document, for example. Okay, so you need to identify basically what added value of that task, okay, which you were given. What value did it bring to you during this internship? Okay, so that will give you higher marks. Okay, and then you relate the tasks or projects to concepts learned at university. Okay, so because I'm sure most of the things you do will be related, will have at least some relation to what you have learned in your 3 years in university. Okay, there has to be something which you have learned before. Okay, not everything is new. Okay, so you can try and relate what you learned in university. Okay, and then the rest are more to formatting. So 70% is your report and reflection, and then the remaining is basically your tables and figures, your referencing, okay, both in text and the reference list as well, okay, how you properly reference, and then your writing skills. Okay, so writing skills is also very important, okay, especially when you go out to work. All right, you need to know how to write properly because you'll be writing reports, you'll be writing documentation. Okay, so that's why the writing skills is about 15 marks. Okay, and then the summary is more to your executive summary. Okay, all right, that is all for the report. Any questions?
Doctor,
Yes.
when you have to submit the whole report?
So you finish the week after you finish. So is that right, Dr. Munira? The week after they finish? Dr. Munira?
It should be 2 weeks. I mean, so it should be hello,
Yeah.
hello, boleh dengar?
Boleh.
At the end of study week, so week 15, because they'll finish on
Week 13.
week 13. Yeah,
Okay, so you have
academic
2 weeks.
calendar, and then 2 weeks.
Okay, so 2 weeks. Not 1 week, 2 weeks. After you finish your internship. So you have 2 weeks to complete your report as well as to send it to your supervisor to check the draft before you send it for evaluation. Okay, so if let's say your submission deadline is on Friday, okay, do not give your supervisor to check on Thursday night. Okay, so obviously everyone is busy. Okay, so if you give on Thursday night but you have to submit on Friday, so obviously your supervisor also doesn't have enough time to actually go through your report and give any feedback at all. Okay, so please make sure that you give some time, okay, maybe at least 2 to 3 days, the more the better, okay, to your supervisor to actually check your report and go through your report so that they can help you improve your report for evaluation as well. Okay. Yes, Leon.
Yes. I have a question on chapter 1.
Chapter 1, the organization.
Yeah, about the business model. What if the company that I'm working on, research institute like MEOB, where we don't have customer, we don't have clients, we are not doing business, Yeah. So,
Dr. Munira?
What do you mean, Leon?
no, I'm working in a research institute like MEOB. We don't have clients. Yeah, we are not working on any business. We're working for things. Yeah. So what should I put in that part? In the business model, in the client details. You get what I mean?
Regarding your the company's information on the company.
Yeah.
But usually they do have, even though they do research, they do have a company that doing, some kind of work with them. But if there is no, I mean, in your unit, but you can find out from your supervisor first,
Maybe like they have collaborations with other companies.
Even do they do research, they do have collaboration from some companies send samples to them, and yeah, but if there is none at all, then you can just put in that section that explain that there is none because this company is working totally on just research and no and so on.
Okay.
That's right.
But there is no marks allocated for that part, right? You know what I mean?
You're so worried about the marks, huh?
Yeah,
but,
no,
but,
I,
you, but you won't get zero for that,
yeah,
so
I know. I mean,
yeah, what important is how you explain, the situation of the company. That is what we are looking at. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So not really business, but I mean, yeah. So the word business in this case is not.
Yeah, it doesn't mean like customer and I'm a seller and you are a buyer. It's not like that. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
Doctor, do we
Yes.
have age limit for this report?
Page limit as long as it's not more than 100 pages. So minimum, there's no minimum, but yeah, there's no minimum.
Thank you, Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just enough and relevant. I mean, put every contents that you have there, but not like repeated information. Just because you want it to be longer, you are repeating the same things over and over again. It can be, short and informative and yeah.
That's right. Any other questions? No, all good. All right. So if there are no questions, that is all from me. Dr. Jha, Dr. Munira, anything?
Dr. Munira first.
I think Muhammad. I mean, Izzat, can you ask your question in the room so that we can discuss? Mana Ami Izzat?
Hello, doctor.
Yes.
Just now, the marking rubric is stated that 30% will come from the project report. May I know, does the project report here only for lab activities? Because as for me, are we not going to have any lab related activities because I will be placed in the production?
Yeah, production, but you'll be doing something, right?
I think so.
You should be.
You should be doing something. Like for example, some people in Top Glove is also in production, right? So, like for example, they check the gloves. So basically, whatever process that you do during your internship. So for example, even if it's just doing QA/QC, okay. For example, QA/QC, you check if the gloves has any holes or not. Okay, there has to be a certain criteria how QA/QC is done. For example, like if you check if there is any hole in the gloves, what is that criteria for it? How big is the hole? How small is the hole? For example, or like how do you check? So all those can be put as a project report itself.
Okay, thank you, doctor.
Okay.
Yeah, because I understand that you guys, when we talk about report, you always, because you used to, the things is always lab report, right? You do experiments and you do report. But for this LI, your report is on your job, okay, on your task that you have been assigned. So you report whatever work that you do in the company. It doesn't matter whether it's a lab work or it's in production or you just you do monitoring work or whatever it is. You just report on what is the thing that you are assigned with. Okay.
Yeah, because sometimes over there you need to do the documentation, the ISO work and all that. That one also the part of the job that you'll be given. Okay, so itulah maybe students just think that go to industry, that I mean go to the lab, macam kita pergi lab 3 years, yeah. So it's totally different thing, yeah. You might be involved in the planning, all that. Bukan just datang buat lab macam your 3 years in our lab.
Lab class, yes.
Hmm.
So don't worry, you still you just when once you started, I think you will get an idea about all the things, and so not to worry so much about the reports yet. Just get yourself into the company, familiar with the the working environments, things like that first. Because the report is on the end of your journey, okay? But not to worry so much about the report for now. Get used to your work environment first, and then it will go smoothly, inshallah. Okay. But so what important is, I think for you to make sure that you send your weekly report to your supervisor, supervisor, so they can somehow monitor in terms of your work, whether you're doing relevant works, the works that you should do. And if we see that, your on-site supervisor just give you tasks like, like a office boy, just go and, print out this, print out that, we don't want that. So at least when we see that, we can, reach out to the on-site supervisor and let them know that what kind of work that they should assign you. So it will be benefit for, both parties,
Okay, doctor. Thank you.
Doctor, about the weekly report, can you how about the format for the weekly report?
Format?
Yes, doctor, format for weekly
Oh, I think
report.
you do have the form, right? Have you seen the weekly report form?
There's no specific format. So you have the form. All right. So you just write every single thing which you are given, whatever task you are given during the whole week. You just write it in your report.
Yes.
Just make
want to
sure
know
that
what
your organization supervisor signs it.
Yeah. Just like your daily journal, your day, what you do today. Synthesize this and then analyze using NMR and blah blah blah, something like that.
Yeah, it can be in point form, just point one what you do, So
it's like we know apa you buat from Monday to Friday.
Yes.
So that we know you are not just photostating papers every single day.
Yeah. And please reach out, okay, in case, because we don't know what happens in the company, what you are doing. So if you feel like, I shouldn't be doing this kind of work because it doesn't relate it to what, to chemistry or whatever you've learned so far. So please reach out to your supervisor, okay, your supervisor, or to us too. So, so we can somehow remind your on-site supervisor that, okay, this is not what the student is supposed to do, things like that. So, but just don't keep quiet, and at the end of the report you said that you have nothing to report because you have no task. Yes, I didn't do anything actually. I just go, here and there. They ask me to do this and that, but not specific project whatsoever. So you have to be responsible to yourself, okay? Because this is your internship. Okay, you want to gain knowledge and experience. So be responsible to yourself to make sure that you are actually learning something, gaining new knowledge, you benefit something out of this. Okay?
Okay, any other question? Okay, anything more? I think that's all from me today. So anything, I'll just update you in the WhatsApp group.
Doctor, did you share the file for the weekly report in the WhatsApp group?
I will share it usually I'll share it in Spectrum.
Okay, thank you, doctor.
Yeah. I'll share all the forms because the form, there are a lot of forms. So form for your company supervisor, internal supervisor, and then student. Okay, your form. So there's a lot of forms. So basically, I will just put it in the Spectrum. Okay, that's all. Yeah. Okay. All right. So thank you, Dr. Aniza. Oh, Dr.
Thank you,
Jalani, nanti
Anita.
come. All right.
No,
So
I
thank
think that's all.
you.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
the best,
All right.
everyone.
Yeah. Thank you,
Reach
Dr.
out when
Aniza.
you have, yeah, reach out when you have problems.
Yeah. So enjoy another 1 week. Yeah.
1 week.
1 week before we start. Working and all that. Okay. All right. So thank you, everybody. Okay, that's all. Have a nice weekend.
Take care, everyone. Guys. Stay safe, okay?
All
Make
right.
sure to
Bye
wear
bye.
a mask and sanitize your hand. You are working and we'll see a lot of people. So just be
Oh yeah,
safe,
yeah.
okay?
One more thing. If let's say if you go to the company and the company did not comply with the SOP, please let us know.
Let us know. Yeah, let us
Ah,
know.
kalau
And if let's say
penjarakan.
there are cases, COVID cases, and then you have to work from home or anything, just or quarantine also, let Dr. Ja and Dr. Munira know.
Okay,
Thank you,
everyone.
Adiza. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you,
All the
Thank you,
best.
Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, doctor.
Bye.